Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel and more Birthright coverage here as we work our way through more of the Voss realms. So these are all the not available for PC use realms here, so the NPC realms. Today we're taking a look at Ltkhovsky, which is surprisingly just neutral, not any of the like evil realms or anything like that. So, and the provinces here, you get a fair few. So it's split among the Surzek goblins and small Voss population. Provinces and holdings of Ltkhovsky don't even approach their potential, and perhaps never will. But with the silver mines of Melier booming to the south, adventuresome settlers have begun to swell the human population. We'll take a look at the map here as well once we're kind of through the main part of the video. So the law here, got a couple different things going on. Pavel Sudrat is a level 7 thief. Lawful neutral, small bloodline, established some semblance of law in the human provinces, only in response to the recent influx of immigrants. The Surzek goblins, led by chieftain Sorid Vorskritter, level 5 fighter, a little bit larger bloodline, also lawful evil, they do lay claim to most of the western territory. So it's already a split realm, really, that you have to deal with here. On the temple side, the devastation of Maglubiet controls, that's a fun name for a temple, right? The devastation of, controls the Ltkhovsky goblins in a manner that would do the war priests of Balanek proud. The small temple of Lirovka, goddess of trade, looks out for the welfare of the human population there. So you got, again, splits going on there. And then on the guild side, the Petropavinsk woodhewers have been cutting and shipping lumber south, but the goblins of the eastern Grovnikivek forest have not allowed them to set up a permanent trade route yet. So already some conflict brewing there. Sources: few magic practitioners exist within this wild realm, but that could change with the recent encroachment of Ferosk Slektra. Level 17 wizard, another just massively powerful wizard here, and a very large bloodline, low chaotic neutral. So again, thinking back to some of the sort of major characters in sort of the classic core Anawir setting, where we have very few people in the double digits for levels, and here we have yet another just super high level wizard, level 17, so craziness. Provinces, not surprisingly, only a few of the provinces are actually ruled. Pavel Sudrat rules Petnoy and Pavisk, while the goblins rule Zik, Batukan, and Gortz. The Sword Rust tribes may attempt to claim Minsk at any time, so again, you got some external conflict brewing there too. Regency in the realm, there's 5 and 12 for Pavel, and 5 and 15 for Sorid, the goblin. Treasury, a bit of a mixed bag. So unfortunately, for the woodhewers, their attempts at trade have failed, resulting in little money. If Pavel has more than 3 gold bars in his treasury at any time, it would surprise anyone. The goblins may have a large treasury of 15 gold bars or more, but if so, it is carefully hidden, but could be a target for some enterprising adventurers to maybe raid the goblins and see what they have. Here are the provinces. So again, you see quite a bit here, mostly an unsettled realm, although there are a couple of larger ones here. So you got Petnoy and Zik at level 4 each, basically, but plenty of untamed potential as well. And here you get an idea of the law, the temple, and the guild breakdowns as well. Now, forces here. Pavel has no standing army. Each of his provinces, however, could muster 1 Voss levy unit, no cost of time or money in response to any attack. So in levies, obviously, aren't going to do that much. The goblins, however, do have a decent little army for what it is. Yeah, 2 units of wolf riders and 2 units of infantry, so basically just the bog standard cav and infantry units that the goblins have. So, and again, it's just it's a chaotic realm in that sense of you got the humans, the goblins, new people coming in, and just everything else kind of under the sun. So no single ruler rules Ltkhovsky, and it is becoming increasingly apparent no regent really wants to. Pavel came to Ltkhovsky a few months ago at the behest of Jana Kuruvin, level 8 thief, of Melier, guildmaster of the Hook River miners and traders. Since arriving, he has had nothing but trouble with the goblins, who were uninterested in the eastern provinces until the humans arrived, and with those men and women willing to come north and work in his logging camps. Add to this the foul weather in Ltkhovsky, or that Ltkhovsky is famous for, and the result is a very reluctant regent. Basically just doesn't really want the job. Nonetheless, he does that, though. He cuts lumber and sells it to the south, mostly to Melier, weather permitting. He hasn't managed to set up a year-round trade route, though, between Petropavinsk and any other city. The bay freezes solid in winter and basically cuts off shipping. But he refuses to give up, and he might have to come up with some other ideas. But that could be one where maybe, as in Venture Hook, the players are tasked with somehow finding another route that could be made safe and usable year-round to get some semblance of an economy going and trade. Other important NPCs, Sorid Vorskritter rules the goblins of Grovnikovec Forest with a ferocity matched only by his Voss neighbors. He needs that ferocity even as the Voss are more terrible than any other human race on Cyrilia. The Surzek goblins put other goblins to shame with their strength and cunning. Hardened by the frozen forest of Ltkhovsky and continuous wars with the Voss, Orogs, elves, and other terrible creatures, the goblins hold their part of the realm through sheer stubborn will. Sword is one of the last of the Surzek goblins to survive separation from the Sword Rust tribes. Orogs and the Orlenaskier mountains once subjugated the goblins, hobgoblins and other humanoids of the mountains, but Sword and others rebelled, fighting to supplant their Orog masters, and later, when that failed, to flee the Orlenaskiers. They escaped the mountains, crossed the river, and now live in the pine forests of the Western Realm. So he is backed, or rather directed, by Thurag Blackscale, level 6 priest of Azrai, small bloodline, high priest of Maglubiet, and leader of the Doom, the temple known as the Devastation of Maglubiet. The Doom rallied the goblins when they fought against the Sword Rust tribes, and Thurag helped Sword keep the goblin clans together when they abandoned their mountain homes. Now Thurag, his Anshe blood showing, he got his surname from the black hard scales showing on his chest, arms, and legs, commands respect and fear among the Surzek goblins. So there's an interesting character too, and something that, again, if the characters we're looking at maybe trying to supplant the goblins, would have to likely take one or the other out, ideally both, but somehow destabilizing that. But this should be a fun sort of additional villain, maybe that the characters would have to deal with, and maybe his Anshe metamorphosis begins developing a little more rapidly, and maybe he turns into some pseudo goblin dragon thing or something like that. That'd be pretty neat. But you have a potent priest here who's really the main power behind the goblin leader as well. Description here. So, covered by the ancient Grovnikovec forest and the superstitions that have always surrounded that wood, Ltkhovsky has never been more than a haven for bandits and humanoids until now. Cold and snowbound for nearly 10 months of the year, its shores provide very few safe harbors for visitors. Even its capital city, built in the hopes of attracting settlers willing to carve a realm out of this wild land, remains sealed off from sea traffic for more than half the year. The capital, Petropavinsk, can hardly be called a city, and a large lumber camp with a few fisheries would be a more accurate description. Still, the city bustles with activity a few months of the year as loggers come into town with their heavy loads of harvested pine, and traders from the Southlands come to deal. Other sites, within the province of Zik lies the Surzek goblin capital and the underground temple of Maglubiet, so that should be a fun sort of like mega dungeon type of adventure if the characters do decide to get into the goblin capital and raid it, and maybe as part of an overall effort or campaign to try and get rid of or destabilize the goblins and get them out of the realm, if kind of creating an actual realm is a goal. A few brave Voss scouts once found the place and came back disturbed by what they saw, and again, fertile ground for the DM to come up with additional things aside from just goblins to deal with. It is said that the goblins are not like the others of their race. They can't be bargained with or intimidated like normal goblins, and they resort to cannibalism during the winter months. So should be something pretty frightening. Maybe the characters go in a little bit arrogant, thinking, well, it's a goblin camp, right? But no, there's more going on. So these are larger, more fierce goblins that have some frightening practices here in the form of cannibalism. Maybe even the characters are caught, end up in some sort of holding cell or something like that, and it's just littered with bones and everything else. Or they see large characters start encountering just piles and piles of bones and other stuff like that. If they're getting closer, just making them wonder what the heck's going on there. Other allies, there are no real allies, though Melee's Hook River Guild might provide financial support in a pinch, just to keep things going. Enemies, well, there's always enemies. It has its own, or it is its own worst enemy. If the goblins ever attack the loggers, an all-out civil war could start. Although, again, if we look at the army breakdown, right, the humans really could only just muster 2 levy units, which would easily get run over by the goblins. Fortunately, the goblins know that such excitement could entice the sword rust tribes down out of their mountain holds in the hopes of retrieving their errant slaves, and that could be something too that maybe an enterprising set of adventurers could in some way create a trail there for maybe to rouse the sword rust tribes, maybe even raiding the sword rust tribes and then making it look like the goblins did that to sort of entice maybe a third party, sort of a 3-way civil war here. Okay. So then other DM secrets, and I love that they do this here because we never got like player secrets for a lot of the Voss realms or any of them, I think. And then really what they could have done for a lot of the NPC realms would be like a DM secrets. But here they've actually included it as part of the realm description. I think that's a nice way to do it without having to have a million supplements to buy. So many opportunities for the daring hero or group of heroes. Thurag, High Priest of the Doom, appears eager to start a fight with the Ltkhovsky Voss. His motivations seem unclear, but he may simply want to give his goblin followers something to do. Busy hands are not rebellious hands. Sword currently opposes an outright attack on the Voss Timberman, but he cannot forestall Thurag for long. It's entirely possible that Sword, hoping to undermine Thurag's influence in his realm, will warn the Ltkhovsky lumberers in time to withstand an assault, but only if he can find someone willing to run messages between Surzek and the Voss territories. So that could be one where if the players maybe aren't necessarily tied to one side or the other, but they happen to take on a quest or task from Thurag, that could be something as well. Finally, then, a band of adventurers recently penetrated deep into Surzek territory in an effort to locate and steal the treasury, which we talked about earlier. Fortunately for the human population of Ltkhovsky, they didn't succeed. Unfortunately, several adventurers died in the effort, yielding several fairly powerful magic items to the goblin tribe. It's only a matter of time before the goblins figure out how to use those magical items and perhaps turn them against the rest of the realm. So that could be something, again, clear motivation for the players there. Recover those, but also with the side motivation there of potentially protecting the human realm, or the humans of this realm, and other nearby territories from making these goblins, which are already a little bit unusual, even more powerful. So a pretty fruitful realm here, but again, we have much more fruitful opportunity with that whole aspect to adventuring in and around the goblin territories here. Again, not just for finding the treasury, retrieving those magical items maybe, but really figuring out what, getting more information on why these goblins are so different, and dealing perhaps with that priest ultimately before he really transforms into a major Anshe. And that could be sort of a looming threat too, as maybe the realm does come under increasing threats or attacks by these goblins. Maybe they're getting more aggressive. Maybe they have figured out how to use one of the magical items and kind of creating like a very real like clock for the players to get this resolved. But then there should be maybe like sprinkling in rumors of other just vile actions by the goblins, or maybe the characters are thrown off the path a little bit. We could really play up the cannibalism bit. And sort of the aftermath of that, but maybe leading the players to think that there's other like wild animals or other monsters at play here, when really come to find out it is the goblins. And then from there, just maybe however the DM really wants to play it, as far as like what will happen with the priest and his Anshe, beginnings of his Anshe blood and transformation there into whatever really they want to come up with. So that could be something pretty devastating. Maybe just as the players are about to finally deal with them, maybe there's some sort of like major transformation of that goblin priest into some new crazy hybrid Anshe monster, which could be very potent, kind of like what we thought was going to be the end boss of this now really becomes an even bigger threat, maybe more of an existential threat too. And you could even find yourself teaming up with the nominal goblin leader Sorid there, because he's like, well, this is supposed to be my realm, and this priest is clearly taking things in different direction, causing all these problems, and now is actually just becoming a threat to anyone as he turns into an Anshe. So, it could be like a temporary alliance there, and maybe a bargain of like, hey, we give us these magic items back, we'll deal with this problem for you, and then you can kind of rule your realm on your own. So a lot of fruitful things here. So it's just a fun little realm. Definitely not one though that at any point in the sort of near campaign future is going to transform itself into a more traditional realm. So this has definitely got long ways to go before it really resembles like a truly organized realm, even by like Voss standards. It's got a ways to go, but nonetheless a fun one, and kind of off the beaten path as far as typical realms to pick, even again on the Voss expansion here. So definitely fun for adventuring. Let us know, guys, if you've run into Ltkhovsky and done some adventuring there in any of your campaigns. How would you handle like creating, like, basically this gives you an opportunity with that priest to maybe kind of just create your own Anshe, and see what you want to come up with there. So hope you enjoyed. Leave us a like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back with more Birthright.